Hi, I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and today we're going to be discussing the Sig Sauer Custom Works P320 Spectre Comp. So just to go over what you get in the box, you do get that nice Sig hard case, 2 of their 21 round mags that we've seen come with the M17 and M18 series. These ones are black, of course. You get a Sig Custom Works Challenge coin, which is cool, a sticker, a certificate or certification for the custom piece, so they know it's not one you doctored up yourself. A bunch of ads for all the hundreds of things that Sig makes, and you get no manual. Once again, they give you this safety manual, don't do anything dangerous, and a QR code. We have the standard tungsten grip that we've seen from Sig that came on the Legions. There's a little bit heavier weight to it, and it is that full-size X-Series grip, so you have the extended beaver tail, a little bit better ergonomics on the gun. But it does come laser textured. All that is just this pattern you see here, these kind of rectangles burned into the tungsten polymer that give you a little bit more traction, a little bit deeper of a cut for your skin to sink into. It does help with the grip, I will admit that. It doesn't look terrible. It's kind of like a very precise stipple job, but you get it from the factory, so that's nice. Working up from the bottom, you do get that nice generous magwell, once again, that we saw on the Legion series. Really does help funnel the magazines up into the gun. Now, these are double stacked 9mm with tapered heads on the mag, so reloads weren't that difficult anyway, but this is really a cool gun, competition gun. So magwell helps with grip, it brings the weight of the pistol back into the center line of your hand, and does help with reload, so you can just throw a magazine in there really quick and not have to worry so much about being precise. You still have to know how to reload your gun, but it does make it easier. Standard magazine release button, nothing extended or anything there, just your normal Sig, that triangular that comes on all the 320s. They do have the flat series trigger. As far as I can tell, they did nothing to lighten the trigger. All they did was just coat it in titanium nitride, so it has that matching gold look to the barrel, more of an aesthetics thing than anything. It doesn't really function better than any of the other 320 triggers with flat faces or the Legion trigger. Standard size, takedown lever, and slide lock. Still ambidextrous on the slide lock, but nothing custom there. That's all standard. Where you will see most of your customization is up on the slide. So we do have some different milling for the serrations, some lightning cuts in the slide itself. The barrel is a threaded barrel, and it is titanium nitride coated. It does have some pocketing on the barrel hood. It does help with wear and reduces a little bit of the friction on the slide because there's just less surface area for the slide to rub on. But the barrel itself is not fluted or cut in any way, so that's really the only lightning pocket you have on the barrel itself. The optic cut is one of Sig's newer ones that will take the Romeo 10, the Delta Point Pro, or an RMR, so it just has 2 sets of screw holes. What that translates to is it's a pretty good Delta Point cut and a pretty bad RMR cut because there's not a lot of support on the front and back for that optic, so you're just riding on the screws, which is not necessarily great for the mounting. Screws are what breaks on optics cuts. We've said that a bunch. So we don't really want to only rely on those thin screws for mounting the optic. But it is nice because as opposed to the M18s and the 320 optics readies, the first runs, this one does let you maintain your rear iron sight. From what I can tell, it still would not be low enough to use your factory irons with the sight, but we did not put a red dot on it, so take that with a grain of salt. The serrations, they are aesthetically pleasing. They do look nice. They match the lines of the gun, but they're pretty shallow. And the coating they put on here, to me, feels like Cerakote Elite, which is historically a slicker, now more durable and more water repellent version of Cerakote, but it really doesn't have that tack that most Cerakote has. So when you do get a hold of these and handle it, you're going to find that slide looks nice but feels pretty slick. And those serrations are not deep enough to compensate for that. So you really do have to grab onto the gun with some authority if you've got sweaty hands or anything like that. Now, moving on to kind of the centerpiece of the gun. The whole reason that this is the Spectre comp is you do have a compensator, an island comp. So that's different than just a normal compensator on the thread of the barrel. This one is clamped down on both sides as opposed to one set screw, and it does retain the front sight on the compensator. So if we lock the slide to the rear, you'll see the front sight is maintained on the threads of the barrel on the comp there. That is really nice for shooting compensated. I don't know, I've put a lot of compensators on a lot of different guns, mostly Glocks and a few CZs, but I have not shot an island comp up until now, and it is nice. It does help with front sight tracking, because having your front sight track on the end of the barrel, it kind of lifts up with the tip of the barrel, and you get that catch of color, and your eye naturally follows it back down into proper sight alignment as the comp pushes the tip of the barrel down. So it is very easy to track your sights in recoil. The port on the comp it's not the biggest port. Pretty narrow and thin. A lot of muzzle brakes that you'll see on pistols, they will have a very aggressive front port, some side ports. Just to compare, this is our cameraman Tristan's custom tricked out SIG. Now this started its life as a SIG M18, the compact slide version of the military service weapon. From there, he had the slide milled and refinished. He did a safety delete. He got a Faxon threaded barrel and a Harrington Arms comp. Had Jaegerworks do the cuts for added serrations and a window up top, some suppressor height sights, CNH mount for the red dot, an improved or lengthened takedown lever that gives you a nice place to rest your thumb. This is an Armory Craft trigger with some Gray Guns trigger springs. All to make it just an absolute space gat. I mean, this thing shoots really nice. Tristan did this before they came out with this gun. Now, these guns have a very similar form factor, as you can see. Almost the same gun, aside from this one has a dot mounted on it. Now, it's nice to be able to piece it together. Both of these guns really highlight the benefit of the SIG 320 chassis system, is you can buy one gun, and at the end of a year of spending money on it, it can look and feel like an entirely different pistol. Went from a military service, just basic service weapon, to a tricked out, absolutely beefed up gun with a metal frame. And that is what these guns are all about, especially for the civilian market, is you can buy one, do a bunch of stuff to it. Now you'll see the Harrington Arms comp has a little bit more of a generous top port and some side ports. Now, the width and length of the ports kind of determines how it feels in recoil. Sometimes that can determine how well it will cycle ammo. With Tristan's gun, we're able to shoot pretty much any bullet we want through it and it cycles fine. We found that the Spectre comp from the factory really did not like 115 grain. We had to bump it up to 124 to get it to cycle reliably. We had a few stovepipes and some failures to eject because we were just underpowering the slide. One thing you have to think about with compensators is this is not really meant to rocket the muzzle down. That is a side effect, but it vents the back pressure of the round. And if there is less back pressure, you're receiving less recoil from the gun, but the gun is also receiving less recoil. So on these guns, which are direct blowback from the 9mm, if you take away a bunch of the back pressure on a lighter bullet, sometimes you do not have enough force to cycle the slide properly. That's why we bump it up to a plus P load or a 124 grain, because the comps are really meant to run with the heavier grain bullet. If you give the comp less bullet, it has less energy to work with. So just for your information, if you buy one of these, at least ours really did not like 115 grain. We found that we had to use 124s to get it to cycle reliably. Once we switched to the 124s, zero reliability issues. Shot great, cycled fine, no complaints from me. I kind of expected that going in because I've had a few compensators, again, that didn't like 115 grain. So some people are going to have questions about how do I clean the gun. So let's go over that real quick, because you do not need to remove the compensator every time you're going to clean this gun. That would be a real pain in the butt, and it would piss you off, and it might even be the reason that some people don't buy this gun. So let's take it down real quick, and I'll show you. So the frame is just same as always. Clean that like normal. Your compensator here, we do have the guide rod. Then, of course, from here back, it's just a normal pistol, right? And then your guide rod does push into this cutout on the compensator to keep it tracked. So even if your screws come loose, this compensator will not shoot off, because in recoil, the guide rod pushes into that cutout of the compensator and keeps it on. Now for cleaning it, just take your guide rod out, and work the comp forward. That's really all you have to do. You will find that with patches and Q-tips, and then your normal cleaning rod, you can clean this pistol fully without ever having to take this off. You can mount this in a vise or just leave it on a table, brush your bore, get some patches around the barrel with some oil. You can do this and turn it side to side to get all around the barrel lugs, and then just lift it up with some Q-tips and patches to get on the hood of the slide that contacts the hood of the barrel there. You do not have to disassemble it fully every time you want to clean it. That's a common misconception. Some of the older guns, that the first run of comps, the KKM comps, some of those, sometimes you had to do that on certain pistols, but anything that is basically a service weapon that's been tricked out, the 320s, the Glocks, the CZs, those are just improved base weapons. It's not a competition weapon like an STI, or there's Staccato now, that have integral comps that mate with the slide, and sometimes they're one piece. Some of those, it is almost impossible to clean the gun without taking it all apart. But these, it's just a basic gun that's got some stuff screwed onto it. I know I'm being reductive, but you don't have to take them fully apart. You can disassemble it how you normally would, and with a little bit more effort and difficulty, clean it fully. In summary, this gun shot really, really good. Just some things for you to know. The slide is a little bit slick, and you cannot shoot the lower grains through this gun because the compensator really needs the heavier grain to function as it should. The grip feels really good. It's got good weight to it. This would be an awesome competition gun, or if you wanted to carry it on your hip, could be a good duty gun. Once again, a bit big to CCW, but if you're an absolute giant and you can get away with it, more power to you. It shoots really good. It shoots really, really, really good. And it is a nice looking pistol, as all of the Sig Spectre comps have been that they've been coming out with. It's just nice to see them embracing that their pistol is customizable. Some people like Glock, they are completely opposed to that. They think they're perfect from the factory. And while I do like Glocks for a lot of stuff, it's just nice to see a company give into the aftermarket a little bit, because that's what they are. Some people buy Glocks to customize them, and certainly people buy 320s to be able to do whatever they want with this chassis and not have to buy 5 guns to have 5 different ways to use their pistol. So it's really nice to see them kind of embracing the aftermarket, if you will. I'd say this gun is definitely worth it if you have the coin to spend on it, and it shoots really, really, really good. I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and we'll see you next week.